Now then, before you think, wait a minute, haven't I heard this? The answer is no, you have not, because this is a better version, an unedited version. I did the Swailes-y thing and bought an editing tool, to speed me up and save time and cut corners. Kalem messaged me saying, this is over-edited and it's too fast and there's loads of stuff missing and it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of it didn't, so I've undone it all and this is the correct recording. I hope you enjoy it and it makes more sense. So please do give it a listen because I think it's way different. Lesson there for me. Always keep it human. Now then, witches and the beautiful souls, welcome back to the Bell Witch podcast. A podcast to get you witching in the 21st century with me, Swailes, the friendly green witch. Hope you are all well and heading direct into the summer holidays where we get 6 beautiful weeks of freedom. If you happen to be a parent or guardian such as I am, if not, this time of year probably don't mean much to you. But for us parents who are sick to death of the school run, I am so ready for it, I tell thee. This is a fantastic Moot Loot episode with another wonderful returning guest. Yes, it is great to have Kalem Turner back from Edinburgh up north, who is the highest viewed astrologer in Scotland, which is an amazing achievement. Kalem is a great divination practitioner and fortune teller. He's quite old school and I just love his straight shooting. He's such a joy to talk to and you can really feel his passion within his profession. In this episode we talk about the law of tarot or tarot, things considered unlucky, strange myths that hang about with the tarot cards, how Kalem works with them, his views on the death card and some interesting stories around spreads and how he views the divination system of tarot along with other things and how they overlap and stuff. So it is a really fantastic episode. You'll definitely learn a few things on the way. Big welcome to my lovely new Patreon subscribers, Carly, Carey Davis, Pamela, Sherry Keezer, Sally Ann Hacklin, Delphine, Maya DN and Sainantan Chandra. Sorry if I've got any of them pronunciations incorrect. You know how it is with the old dyslexic bonts. As always, thank you for subscribing and believing in me, and some of you are here as a freebie member, and if you like what you see, please do join for as little as £1.50 a month, which is like a cup of tea for this witch. There's quite a lot of stuff on there at the moment, and I am about to upload something very special, a short haunting ghost story I have been working on for quite some time. It is a competition that I am entering with the Free Ravens, but I thought I would share it privately on my Patreons, as I'm actually quite proud of it. I sent it to my bestie and she read it through. She's like, proper good literature and ghostwriting, or should it be proofreading? And sent it back saying, wow, this is really good. It's quite Stephen King-ish. So that's exciting, isn't it? Other ways you can support the Bell Witch podcast is by leaving ratings and reviews wherever you get your podcasts. I have had some lovely reviews recently. I'm going to read you a few out now just because I'm so chuffed with them. I'm so grateful. And here is the first one. One of my favourites. I have been listening to witchy podcasts for over 5 years now. I can confidently say that I've listened to or sampled nearly all of them. Swailes is one of my very favourites. I love her funny, almost self-deprecating humour, mixed with well-researched topics and unique takes on many subjects that can get repetitive. Her ghost stories, Her perspective and her down-to-earth podcasting style is refreshing and fun. Thanks, Swailes, for making witchy living bright and bubbly. Thank you so much. That's from RC Bud. The next one is Magic in Action. I don't know how I haven't found this podcast sooner, but I'm so glad I have. It was recommended to me from an email from Witchfest. I find that when I listen to this podcast, I feel lighter and happier and more connected to Earth. It's helping with my mental health, and as a result, I smile more. Then the magic happened. As I was listening to the podcast today on my nature run, I was aware that people were smiling at me as I was running, and I realised it was because I was smiling, because I felt connected to nature from listening to the podcast. Normally on a run, my mind would wander to mundane things and things I have to do. But this time I was connected to nature and the sacred feminine within myself. The smile on my face was shared with the world. That's magic and witchcraft from Bear Witch Project. I love the name. Thank you so much for an absolutely beautiful review. Gosh, I love Swailes and this podcast. It's like sitting down for a chat and a cuppa with a good friend. She's so warm and welcoming and full of grounded ways to practice your craft in a way that is authentic to you. Love all the guests she has on as well. Keep finding new things to do, people to follow and places to go. Blessings. And that was from CVAD9. Thank you. These really do make my day. I love them. Oh, she's all mushy now. And it came at such a good time because I've got to be honest with you, I have been wobbling a little bit about the pod. It's just so hard to keep it going and not obsess with numbers and have imposter syndrome. But I'm reading this book at the moment called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And it is such a good book explaining how to carry on being creative and not getting bogged down by achieving certain stats and looking for outside acknowledgement. Everything that you make, the author is saying you should make for yourself. And by doing that, you're being authentic and true. And then people will naturally gravitate towards you because you're only creating content that you love. And because you love it, that's how it spreads far and wide. And it's a really cool take on inspiration and how kind of hangs about like a ghost in the ethos, waiting for somebody to be open to take on the inspiration. And it's really spoken to my soul. So perhaps it was a good time to stop podcasting and read a few beautiful and thoughtful reviews as well as books on creativity. And so I'm going to try and plod on and not get too bogged down with stats. If you do love The Bell Witch and you've got the spoons and the time to leave a little review, I honestly appreciate each and every single one. All right then, that's enough from me. Enjoy this Moot Loot episode. We have another returning guest to the Bell Witch podcast. I love it when that happens. So let's welcome back Kalem Turner. Hiya.
Thanks for welcoming me back. We were just saying it's been about a year.
It has indeed. Time flies when you're having rum.
Oh, that's so weird that you just said that.
Oh.
Can I just tell you, like, into a new office? And in my building, each office is named after a different place in Scotland. So we have the Isle of Skye office. My office is called the Isle of Rum.
No.
This just all went down in the last week. Like, how weird for you to mention rum. Just very random.
That is weird. And I nearly said having fun, but I've got a flag that says having rum. So I was like, I'm going to say the flag.
Amazing. I mean, I love rum as well, but talking about the
Same.
Isle of Rum in Scotland.
How funny. Now,
Yeah.
you are, what is it? The highest viewed astrologer in the UK. This is a new title since I last spoke to you.
Not in the UK, probably in Scotland. I can't really speak for England, Wales, or Northern Ireland, but certainly in Scotland, highest reviewed in astrology and palmistry has been my bailiwick for years, and it's what I'm best known for. But yeah, doing it equally well in astrology. And I do love tarot as well. Of course, I love all sorts of card readings.
Oh, congratulations. That is so big. I love it. And that is why we're on today, because we're going to love boat the tarot deck, aren't we? And because you're a bit of an expert in the old tarot.
That is the question. How do we really pronounce it?
Yeah.
I think it's fine both ways. Like, I'm actually not a snob. Technically, it is tarot, because it is Italian, where we kind of get that word. But I've got family members who call them tarot cards, and like I'm not going to correct them because I just don't care enough. Like, I think tarot readers get really irate about that.
They
They're
do.
fastidious about the pronunciation, but I'm not.
They do. And as a dyslexic, I read tarot and I say tarot.
You say whatever you like. Yeah.
Fabulous. So, can you tell us first how the tarot came into your life?
So for me, like I was actually always interested as a child in divination, fortune telling, witchcraft especially. Like I was not a boy chasing footballs. Like I was a boy chasing fairy tales. Like I was one of those kids that wait all year for Halloween sort of thing. So I was always interested in it when I was wee, but I actually didn't get my own set of tarot cards until my 17th birthday. And it was like your kind of I guess a typical Rider Waite Smith system, if people are familiar. But the cards that I got, they actually had like a little paragraph at the top and then a little paragraph at the bottom, reversal. So you didn't really have to learn them. You could literally just read what was ever there and apply them to your situation. And I noticed after a couple of years of doing them, I wouldn't read the paragraph. Like my eyes would just hone in on a specific word. And then it started happening with the picture. Like I'd noticed something about the picture and that would like make the reading or whatever. So it kind of happened naturally. Starting at 17, after about 5 years, it was really weird because I ended up inheriting a tarot deck from my great auntie. She had originally given them to her son, who sadly passed away. And they were her grandmother's, and she called them tarot cards,
Hey!
RD on the end. And like, I didn't know she had them at first, but when she showed me them, I was like, oh my God, these are amazing. They're 1910, so they're over 100 years old, but they were actually fortune telling cards. So they were playing cards again with predictions printed at the top and on the reversal. So I thought, oh my God, they're so like mine. And they had these kind of Egyptian backs on them, which was very like a symptom of the tarot folklore of the early 20th century sort of thing. So I picked up them as well. But I mean, by that time, I'd already experimented with like oracle cards, angel cards, like not really my type of thing now. But yeah, I learned so much about them over years. And I think learning other systems of divination like astrology and palmistry really informed my tarot readings as well and helped me not get stuck on them. Because that's a big issue. A lot of people take up tarot cards and they just get stuck on it. They don't grow their skills into other forms of divination. It shouldn't be a final destination, I don't think.
I suppose they're huge as well, aren't they? It takes a long time to get confident with a deck because there's 78 cards, which is a lot of cards.
Yes. Yeah. There are 78, but I mean if you learn a little bit of other systems like astrology, it helps break it down a little easier. You'll understand the elements and so you'll have an idea of all the suits and I don't know, I never thought it was that difficult, maybe because I had the instant explanations on all these cards early on, but I think even just looking at the picture, like you can tell what's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like you can tell the death card's not like a fun card. The
Yeah.
lovers, like, and again, there's kind of two ways of reading it. Like, traditional tarot readers are like, oh, the lovers, this foretells love in your life. Whereas modern tarot readers are like, no, it's actually like a big decision point and the amalgamation of these energies, and they get more philosophical with it. I do think it's good to learn it from both perspectives.
Yeah. Do you still have that really old tarot deck? I mean, it's over
Mm.
100 years old. That's incredible.
Yeah, I've got my auntie's
Ah,
cards. They're like a family heirloom. She's got other
nice.
cool stuff as well. She was teaching me how to use her spirit planchette like a year ago. That was like I didn't think it would actually work because I'm not really a believer in Ouija boards and stuff like that, but it's kind of the precursor to that, and it did work. It was correct. She's got an old crystal ball as well that was her granny's. But yeah, I've still got them. I just don't use them. I actually don't have my original tarot cards that I got when I was 17 because as a teenager I was moving around a lot. Like I was technically homeless and living in hotels even though I was working. It was just hard to find to be able to store things like away. Like I lost a lot from early on in my life, so I was glad to like inherit the heirloom cards in my early 20s by the time I had my own home and was
Yeah.
kind of settled. But I don't have the original deck that I was using anymore as a 17-year-old.
Yeah. All right, let's take it right to the basic. What is a tarot card? What's a deck of tarot cards? And what would you say isn't a deck of tarot cards?
It has changed over the centuries because really, centuries ago, like tarot technically has Italian origins. Like these were essentially playing card decks that are a little different from your normal playing card decks, but there are a lot of similarities as well. You know, beautifully drawn, artistic. And although they technically came out of Italy in terms of the big archetypal cards, so like the Death card, the Wheel of Fortune, like the Hierophant used to be called the Pope. The high priestess used to be called the papess and still is in those kind of European systems. But there's even a precursor to the Italian origins, and it really was Egyptian playing cards. I forget what century it was exactly, but they kind of had like a lot of Islamic influence as well. So like where you see like the Five of Cups and the Four of Coins and all that, like that really does have a basis in Egypt. Not so much in this big esoteric occult way, that occultists love to say that it has a kind of like spiritual inheritance from it. But like they were actually playing cards in Egypt and then kind of made their way through Europe. By the time they got to Italy, aristocratic families wanted more complex games and they were adding these kind of European archetypes, whether it's the devil or temperance. You know, it's actually majorly influenced by Christian ideas and Christian kind of folklore as well. And I don't think it took long because cards have always been used in some kind of sortilege, whether it's in gambling. People used to think that gambling was a lot more connected to your fate and your luck, whether it's good luck or bad luck. Like these had a lot more like stronger connotations centuries ago. And so it's easy to see how a deck of cards became common for divination. You know, by the time we got to like the 1600s, 1700s, it was widespread in Europe, not just tarot, but also playing cards being used for fortune telling or divination. And it kind of culminated, I think, in the 1910 deck. I know I was talking about my cards that were 1910 earlier, but that also happens to be the same year as the first publishing of the Rider Waite Smith deck, which is probably the most popular deck in the world. You know, if you picture tarot cards, it's the one most people have seen. They're very pictorial, they're very easy to learn, like they're the number one type of thing to learn. And I think it really exploded in the 20th century. Now we have thousands of different variations of this deck, of the more traditional decks, the Marseille type decks. You've got the Thoth tradition as well, from Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris. It's a really beautiful deck if you haven't seen it. And so it has exploded onto the scene where it's now the number one tool for divination, for psychic practices. And some people don't even use it for that. Some people take a more kind of psychoanalytical approach. You know, they're using the cards for wellness or creativity or counseling. And I have a lot of opinions on that. Like, I think in a personal sense, it's great, but I think it's also plaguing the industry with fake readers
Yeah.
who can't make predictions, who, you know, just say, oh, the cards are actually just Jungian archetypes and let's talk about your inner child. Like, I would be so pissed off if I went to a tarot reader and they started talking to me like, oh, you've got past trauma, you know, let's get in touch with your spirit and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's such great variation in the industry now, but I will always see them as a tool for divination.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought that tarot cards came from a deck of playing cards, but it's much further back than that. Much
There's
further.
similarities. So
Yeah.
like the four suits, and this is why a lot of people relate like the heart cards in a playing card deck to the cups cards and tarot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people would see them as similar. I mean, even playing cards, they have this astrological connection because 52 cards in a deck, just like there's 52 cards in a year, four suits for four seasons.
Yeah.
You can even say like the court cards, like the Jack, the Queen, and the King, that could be like cardinal, fixed, mutable. There's so many astrology connections there, but it tends to be in modern tarot decks that there is a lot of this symbolism implemented from astrology and kind of like various occult symbolisms as well. So there is similarities, but I also think that playing card reading is a different system. Like my auntie's deck that she gave me, it's technically fortune telling cards because they've got fortunes written on them, but like playing cards are read differently from tarot cards. A lot of tarot readers say that they can read playing cards, but actually they just apply their tarot understanding to playing cards, and that's not really it
Yeah.
because they're two different decks, they're two different systems of divination.
Yeah. I love all the overlaps, how it's all connected to like star signs, and it's huge, isn't it, when you look into it? It's like head blown. So
I
much.
think most forms of divination you can easily, especially the popular ones, like you can easily find connections between palmistry and astrology, and then astrology and tarot, and then tarot and other kinds of card readings. Like they are very interconnected, which is why I think it's better to expand upon what you can do rather than just get stuck on the same tool.
In your opinion, how would you say tarot works? Like, I had a guest recently who was referring to like the spirit of the tarot deck, which I'd never heard and I quite liked. I just wonder what your take is on it.
I think there probably is like a collective consciousness for tarot, like not just the objects themselves, but kind of what people are tapping into. But I mean, that bleeds into the overarching, like, what is divination itself? For me, and this is just my personal belief, I don't think everyone should have the same opinion because it's kind of saying, oh, one religion is the right thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a bad way to approach it. Not very expansive. But for me, synchronicity is a thing in divination, right? So say for example, I'm reading the cards for someone and I say, "Oh, it looks like you're going to be working in tech. What do you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm a tech person." You know what I mean? Like it's that synchronicity of it lines up with real life. And I think the synchronicity is kind of like an energetic thing because everything in existence is almost like a reflection of itself. We're all a reflection of the same beginning, however you want to conceptualize that, whether it's a big bang or whether it's God creating the world in the 7 days, we all have the same origin wherever it comes from. And I do think that throughout varied human experience, you can see patterns that we all experience. And tarot cards are a great way to explore those patterns because each card represents a different experience that we're all likely to go through. It's really the combination and the timing and how it shows up for you and how it's described to you that's going to make it feel like, oh, it really applies to me and my situation. So I do think it's an energetic thing. I think you could explain it scientifically. I think you could break down what is a tarot card. What is matter's made up from atoms, water atoms, they're made up from energy. Like, how are you going to talk about energy? It's kind of like it's trying to describe something in a 3D sense that isn't really 3D. It's that kind of elusiveness. There's like a je ne sais quoi about divination that's mysterious, but that you can feel it's there. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you can just feel that there's like a connectiveness between everything. And that goes for tarot. It goes for all other forms of divination as well. I think the reason people like to use tarot cards so much is because of the people in them. They can see themselves in the cards. And even if it's not a person, like look at the Queen of Wands, for example, I can't tell you how many times that card's come up as the first card and the person's been like, oh, there's my cat. Like I've got a black cat. Like that's what they look like. They're always sitting next to me just like that. It can be like literal things as well as these overarching archetypes or energies that we all feel into at some point.
Literal, that's me in the deck. That's me.
Yeah.
What tarot card are you, Caleb?
Well, a change. It depends on the day.
There you go.
Probably, I'm probably the Tower in the morning and Temperance throughout the afternoon. And, in the evening, I'm probably Nine of Swords. But I've actually been drawn into tarot cards before. I don't think it was made into a real deck, but someone made me the Sun card. And then I think the Knight of Cups as well. I think Knight of Cups is probably the best one to describe me with because young man, still young, Pisces stellium, a lot of that water stuff. Like I'll probably say Knight of Cups if we're going with traditional interpretation.
I can't believe you've been put into a tarot card. Where's the deck, dude?
I don't think they ever got to actually doing the deck. I think it was more like a project where they were making the art digitally from tarot readers that they liked. It was actually my friend Stephen Bright. He's a tarot author. He was making it, and I don't think it was a project that was necessarily going to produce a deck. I think it was more of like an inspo piece. What card would you say you are?
I think the Hermit at the moment. I'm just so internal, and I'm always, like talking to myself and examining how I react to stuff and choosing to not partake. And I'm reading books on chaos theory at the moment, not chaos theory, chaos magic, which kind of ties into it actually, like the ability to change what you believe and like really dissect yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's where I am at the moment. I think I'm going to start getting some chaos magic on the go. So yeah, definitely the Hermit. Which card is the one that you really dislike? You're like, oh, but why?
I actually don't feel that way about cards. I think I think it is a matter of experience and how much you have. Like, I have read for thousands of people from all over the world, and I don't actually read cards a whole lot for myself, which is maybe why I don't become. I think people maybe become jaded if they're doing readings for themselves and they get the same card again and again. Like, I think either you're probably doing tarot too often then, or you're not changing enough. Personally, I don't really feel the need to read tarot because, like, I create my own future. Like, I just don't really need the guidance. Like I feel confident in myself to be able to create my experiences. And so it's mostly reading for other people. And because it's so varied and I've done it so much, like I genuinely don't have any bad feelings towards any cards, in tarot or any other kind of divination system.
Yeah. Three of Swords, though. I mean, Three of Swords.
I mean, it's nice.
Is that?
It's not nice, but it's also like necessary
Yeah,
sometimes. Do
it
you know what I mean?
is.
Like that has such like a varied meaning in itself, and again can be interpreted literally, symbolically. I'm also big into card combination, which I really learned in different systems, especially Lenormand. You kind of have to learn card combination there, but it's the reason why I'm not a fan of tarot spreads. Like I don't think you should be able. I don't really feel like it's right for me to be dictated what a card means by where it comes up. I think you should be looking at that card and sensing what it means, seeing what it means yourself. Like I don't need that kind of structure or rule book around it. Like I'm a lot more free. And I really do read cards in groups or like in combinations, which adds kind of layers to the story or prediction.
So, like the Celtic cross, I mean, that's quite a traditional one, isn't it?
I mean, I've done it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I experimented with it as a teenager, but it's not something that I would ever need. Typically, if I'm reading tarot, I just pick 12 cards. Because I think that's a good number, obviously, in astrology. But yeah, I tend to choose 12 cards in groups of threes, so four different rows, and I'll just read them as they are. Like, I don't need to say, oh, this specific one's going to be your love life. I'll know which one is the love life. You know what I mean? By virtue of what the card is, but also the combination and the kind of surrounding of it.
Has there been any times when the tarot wasn't at its best or like wasn't working? Is there anything that would affect that, or is that not a thing?
I think if tarot stops working for you, we mentioned this earlier, you need to learn a new system of divination, right? Like a lot of tarot readers kind of hit a wall, and some of them recognize it and say, okay, like, how am I going to get my skills back, my gift back? Like, I know what the cards all mean in my mind, but my heart's not speaking to me, like the feeling's not flowing with that. And I think that happens when your skills are growing and you really need to expand them and grow with them. Otherwise, they start regressing and they start shrinking. So I think, again, it kind of harkens back to don't contain yourself to one tool. Don't get trapped in that tool because really the cards are just again, a tool's a good word. Like they're there to help you get there, but they're not doing the job. It's you. Like you should be able to give a reading without the cards, basically. And if you want to take up another system of divination to help you get there, that's great. But I think that's the number one problem that people have. Also doing it too much. You know what I mean? Like asking the same question over and over. Like how's that going to help if you didn't understand the first answer or the first reading? How's pulling more cards going to help? You're just going to complicate a situation that you already don't understand very well. So I think there's multiple ways you can look at it there.
Yeah, I heard on your recent episode with what was it, the opening door? Is that
Opening the door? Yeah,
opening the
yeah.
door podcast? Brilliant podcast, shout out. When you were saying somebody came for a reading and they were a bit sort of miffed with what you'd given them, and you were like, "Well, what can I do?"
I think it was someone had said to me, that they were disappointed in their reading. And I said, why? Do you not think it was accurate? And they said, no, it was accurate. It just wasn't very exciting. And I asked her, I was like, do you live an exciting life? Like, is there anything you're doing right now to bring excitement towards you? And she was like, no. And I was like, well, why would the reading be exciting then? Like, I can't give you a brighter future than what you're making for yourself. Like, you're saying it's accurate. You're saying you're not happy with it. That's an indication for you to do something. Like, don't be disappointed with me just because you're disappointed with your life. Like that is an issue.
Yeah.
And it's one that you have to deal with on your own.
It's bad. I suppose you're looking for answers. You know them already, and the tarot is just gonna give you what you already
I don't think
know.
that's true. Like I think a lot of people take that psychoanalytical approach where they're like, you already know everything. I'm just here to bring out of you. And sometimes that's true. But in any kind of divination, like I predict things that people don't know or don't expect all the time. And sometimes they'll be like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. And then 6 months later, they're like, I'm really sorry about my attitude. Can I come back for a reading? Because like that just happened. And like I'll forgive them the first time. Do you know what I mean? But like that, the idea that it's all already inside you and this is just to help you with what you already know. I think that's the very modern holistic interpretation of let's use the cards for wellness and holding the space when actually divination is prediction. You know, it's obtaining information through supernatural means. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing divination, you're not doing psychic readings, you're not doing tarot readings, whatever. But that is a problem that I run into often when people are unhappy with their life. And I don't get a lot of elderly clients now because I've had an online booking system for several years and just a lot of them are put off. But I still do sometimes, and I've had a lot in the past. And this doesn't go for every elderly person. Like I once met an 83-year-old American woman who came to Scotland and she was traveling the world looking for love. What an inspiration at that age. Most 83-year-olds are not that. When they come for readings, you know, at that age, like it's generally because they're lonely, they're unhappy, their spouse has passed away, they're retired, so they don't have like much of a day-to-day life outside of a very like simple routine. They either don't have family or their family lives far away or their kids don't like them or whatever it is. And they'll come to me because they want me to tell them something that's going to cheer them up, that's going to, you know, be exciting again for their future, that's going to kind of lift them in a new state of being. But they don't want to make any decisions or choices or take any actions towards something different. So I'll give them the reading and they might say, oh yeah, I wish it was a bit more exciting. But I have to hone that into them as well. I'm like, do you live an exciting life? Why would the reading be exciting if you are doing the same thing every day? Like you do your chores, you go to the shops, you come home, you watch TV, you go to bed, and you're depressed. I can't change that for you. Like friendship is not going to walk through your front door and sit on your lap. You have to go out there and get it. And I understand that people at a certain age, they become set in their ways, they lose their confidence, but I can't change that for them. And I think you have to accept at whatever age you are, a great deal of your life, although some of it is unexpected, a great deal of your life is made up of the choices you make and the actions you take day to day. And if you're unhappy and doing the same thing every day, like you need to do something different because that's the definition of madness. Why would you come at me expecting me to predict a change when you're not changing anything? So there's kind of like variations in that, but it just depends on the person, really. Some people have very fulfilled lives, some people don't.
Yeah, no, do what you always do. You'll get what you always got.
Exactly. Yeah. It's madness to expect a different result if you're doing the same thing all the time. Like, that is the definition of madness.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. All tarot tropes. I bet you've got loads to say on this, haven't you? Go on then.
I think the most common one is don't buy your own set of tarot cards.
That is so old.
Yeah, and it really is. And the thing is, it was not always there. I think it was probably popularized like half a century ago, but like it's not this ancient wisdom. And it doesn't even really make sense because usually if someone says that, I'll say why. And they either won't have a reason, which why are you just believing something just for the sake of it? Do you know what I mean? Like just because someone else said it doesn't mean it's true. They either don't know why or they'll just say it's bad luck. But even when it comes to superstitions, like if something is bad luck, there's usually a reason for it. There's usually like some kind of history with that, and like here's the reason. But if you don't know it, like why are you believing? Why would it be bad luck? I think some people just want to feel special if they were gifted cards or they inherit cards or they happen upon them or whatever. But like, how is it going to affect anything badly? Like, what is the spirit of tarot going to like, hold it against you because you paid money for it? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
I know it's
like,
weird. Who
Someone
said
can
it?
try and explain that to me if they've got like a real reason for the superstition, but like generally I've never found anyone to have a reason other than just believing it because someone else told them, which is ridiculous. What are some other ones? I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head. That is the big one, isn't it? Like that's the one that people go to. The other one is don't read the cards for yourself.
Oh, I don't know that
That's
one.
the other big one.
Not heard that one.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's bad luck to read for yourself or it's bad luck to read for family and friends. I don't like to do readings for family and friends, but it's not for that reason. I mean, it can be bad luck in a way, but like I'll give you an example, and it wasn't even for tarot, it was for astrology. Like a few years ago, I was doing astrology readings, like forecast for the year, and this was January. And one of my friends said to me that he wanted to get his chart read. And I looked in the chart and I was like, okay, it looks like you're going to lose your job in 6 months' time. And he was really upset about it. And the thing is, he'd been on sick leave for 2 years. He was disabled. He had this 16-hour a week job where he would mostly work from home, but he would call in, he'd be on sick lines for months. And he got really nasty with me. He was like, "Sorry, Caleb, like I'm disabled, so don't say that to me because I know the law and they're not going to sack me and whatever." Anyway, 6 months later, his whole department was made redundant. So it wasn't even just like down to him. Do you know what I mean? But it's one reason why I don't like to read for people in your personal life is because they can take it personally.
Yeah,
You
of
know what I mean? Like
course.
even if it's accurate.
Yeah.
And I think the idea that you can't read for yourself, some people can, some people are good at it. I'm good at doing astrology for myself. I don't tend to need the cards very much, but I like astrology. I think it's the whole idea of tempting fate, or trying to make something like malleable, which is more fated or something like that. Like I don't particularly believe in that. I think it depends on you're either going to have a lot of self-awareness and can totally detach from your own ego and get a perspective and objective on your life and your future, or it's just not your talent. I think that's kind of down to it. I don't think there's any like bad luck around it whatsoever.
I mean, I read for myself all the time. I could,
Yeah.
my mum did as well, so maybe that's why I don't have that. But she had the don't buy your own tarot cards, but then she used to just bug people to buy them for her. So that's kind of like not a
Maybe
good
that's where
thing.
it came from. Like someone didn't want to pay for their own cards, so like,
Yeah.
I need you to buy it. Really, they just can't afford it.
And I think there's one about wrapping it in black satin. It's got to be like pure black satin, and it can never
So
go on the floor or like that.
yeah, I mean, I think not putting them on the floor is just respect for an item. Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's something that's maybe a little bit more spiritual, that's probably right.
Hmm.
The whole black cloth thing, my and like my great auntie that I was talking about, she has a crystal ball that's wrapped in black cloth because that was her grandmother's, and that is said to be a requirement. However, I think again, superstitions come from somewhere. Crystal balls can actually start fire if they're in sunlight and shone through. I think we maybe talked about that
We
before,
did,
but
yeah.
that creates a reason for covering it, with a black cloth because no light's kind of coming through that. And so I think again, that's where superstitions come from a place of practicality. Maybe back then they didn't understand science, like the sun's UV rays. They thought like, oh, crystal balls are just really dangerous. They, pyromancy, like they can bring in these devilish flames from hell or whatever. But actually, it's just like a practical reason for keeping these things protected and safe.
And the colour black as well is a natural like shielding colour, isn't it?
I do think it's protective. I mean, I wear black every day. Today I'm in black and blue. Um, but yeah, I think black is protective. It's absorbent. It's slimming. It's
It's
stylish. It's witchy. There's so many good reasons to wear black.
the tarot decks love to wear black.
I think the whole wearing black at funerals comes from a superstition as well. It's like because black is seen to be the color of death. If you're wearing black, you're paying homage to death, or maybe it's not seeing the life through the death and it's not going to touch you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's going to pass over you and just take the person that passed, basically.
Oh, that's quite cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other stuff as wooden boxes. My mum used to always put tarot. It had to be wooden boxes. It couldn't be like a tin or
Some people say
anything.
silver. Some people want a silver
Silver?
box. You know, I mean, it's again, it's an opinion thing. These superstitions, but
Yeah.
I think looking for the practicality in them is the best indication of what's right for you.
Yeah. And then, of course, in films, the death card comes out. It's like, oh, you're going to die.
That can happen, like, right? That's a thing. So a lot of people will just say, "Oh yeah, the death card. It just means change, transformation." Like the fluffy bunny readers, like they tend to have this really positive interpretation of the death card. And even if it's not death, it's nearly always like a painful circumstance. If you look at the card, it doesn't look fun. It's always going to be difficult change. But I've had it come up as real death many times. I had it come up as a suspicious death once. and the lady ended up dying abroad while she
Oh,
was on holiday. And yeah, like it was really weird. And depends on the card combination again. Like for example, let's say the death card with the Three of Cups. That could be like the ending of a friendship, you know, if you read it symbolically. Or it could be the death of a friend or the death of someone while they're at a party drinking. Like you can totally see divination as symbolic, but also literal. And if you're doing tarot for long enough, you will see things come up both ways.
like the death card and the tarot card and Three of Swords is like a horror story. A horror story.
I was actually two out of the three for the suspicious death that came up. It was the
Really?
Three of Swords, the death, and the Tower card. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Don't panic anyone who gets those
I
cards. You know,
know.
it's quite rare. I've had them in many other readings and it's not been that. But yeah, it certainly can be.
Yeah, we're not adding to the superstition. We're just, discussing it. Don't
We're
get
just selling it,
scared.
really.
Scaring you with the tarot. But yeah, it's nice to see it becoming so popular. And my understanding for a long time, because I grew up with them, because my mother was an amazing tarot reader. Like, and there were no internet then.
Oh,
She was so good at it. And she never let me touch her cards. I don't think she let anybody touch her cards, actually. She used to shuffle for the
that's another one.
people. Yeah, and put them
Yeah, it's
down.
do you shuffle the cards? Do the client shuffle the cards? Totally different from reader to reader. Yeah, I don't think there's one way to do that. It depends on the cards, it depends on the person and what you're doing with them.
So you allow them to shuffle.
No,
Oh, you don't?
I don't most of the time because like most people don't know how to shuffle a deck of tarot cards. They can
You're
barely shuffle playing
massive.
cards because people, yeah, they're pretty big. But normally what I'll do is I will shuffle them and then I'll say, tell me whenever you want me to stop, just whenever you like. If it's by email readings, I'll say pick a number 1 to 9 and then I'll shuffle them that many times. And I do think it depends on the deck of cards because there's some decks of cards that I'm like, oh, it has to be me shuffling this. Like I know that. Whereas the other system, I'm like, actually, I want the other person to engage with it in some ways, but they probably don't know how to shuffle. And yeah, who knows? I've had some clients a couple over this year. I've been shuffling the cards and I'll say, tell me when to stop just whenever you like, and they'll say, oh no, I don't want to do that, like I don't want to part it, like you just do it, you just do it. And like I'll put the deck down and I'll be like, you don't decide how. It's not a complicated thing I'm asking you to do. Like you don't even have to think about it because it's random. And then I'll make them do it and then I'll be like, see, that wasn't painful. Do you know what I mean? But like some people just really I don't know, have no idea of what's going on or what's required of them, like basic attention.
Yeah, that is weird. I wonder why they've got a thing about it. How strange.
I've also had other people say, oh, I've been to a tarot reader before, so I know that I need to touch them. I know that you're not doing it right. And I'm like, Sharon, there's more than one way to crack an egg hen, and then he tell me how to run my own business. Like, if you want
Aaron.
to do what that reader's doing, go see them. But you're in my office right now, know the other way around, so watch who you're talking to. Like, I will tell people that. Like, I don't have patience for, I've seen someone do this once before, so you have to do it the exact same and better as them and tell me what I want to get. Like, I just can't be bothered with those types of people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and you've got a relationship with these decks that you've worked with for many years, and you know how they work the best and what affects them. So
Exactly.
you know your stoof. Let's have a look. Done that. Done that. Like you were saying, you see the future telling through the cards. I remember going to a
Mhm.
class once about this, and the woman described it to me as like life is back to tacos. No. Life is like a bowl of beads, and all these beads are things and stuff that's going to happen. And the tarot, this is so funny, is like a view on the beads, of what bead you might pick next. Like it's a little hint, like a little. And I was like, wow, that is amazing. So we're not on a line, of beads. We're not on like a
Yeah, yeah.
necklace. There's like a bowl and they get thrown around and like this big grabby hand picks one and that's what you live. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. It's a good analogy. It's maybe not one that I would have thought of myself, but yeah, it's maybe better to think of it like a bowl. Life isn't always a linear experience. It's this thing that can come back and forth and back around again and up and down and side to side. So it's a good analogy. Um, I do think. different forms of divination have their own nuances. And I think that most people, tarot's an interesting one because it's maybe the reason why it's so popular is most of the experiences described in the cards, you will experience at some point. Like it's inevitable. And so some people will say, oh, they're designed to make sure they work then. It's not that they're so mystical and special and unique. It's like almost a one size fits all. And it just so happens by coincidence that you've picked the right ones at the right time that are accurate, like to your immediate situation or your past, present, future, or whatever. But I actually don't think that's a bad thing that they're designed to represent the human experience. Like, what else would they represent?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
totally.
What else are they going to cover? If most of them were not relevant to everyone in some way, they probably wouldn't work as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. And there's a lot of combinations, isn't there? I mean, like we said, there's a lot of cards. So
Forget how many, but like someone did the maths, and like I think it's into the millions or hundreds of thousands at least. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy the amount of combinations you can come up with 78 cards. It is wild.
There is. I remember seeing that somewhere a while back, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember like massive outcomes. And we don't believe in coincidence.
We don't,
No
not in
such
this
thing.
industry. I think I always ask when people say that, do you not think it's all coincidence? I'm like, how many times do coincidences have to happen before they're no longer coincidence, they're a pattern? Because it happens to me every day. It happens multiple times with every client. So like I'm experiencing it so many times throughout the day, so many times throughout the week. Um, I think that's only something that you can know and understand if you're in it, living the lifestyle.
Yeah. And like everything can be an omen if you take notice of it and it makes you sort of stop and go, hmm. Like I get that with nature a lot now. I notice all the omens that are around me. And the just the act of you going, what's that? That it means something. Go look it up.
You can find meaning in anything, but I would say try not to find meaning in everything because on the microwave, the angels are speaking to me like I'm like, calm down. Do you know, just calm it. Like I do prefer the nature omens, like what you're talking about, if a certain bird and you're like, oh, that's happening at a weird time, or whatever happens in nature. Like I think that's a better way, but I think people can become paranoid about it. In terms of looking at the clock, looking for an answer in terms of their current thoughts with a number, or, trying to see every single person that's coming into their life as trying to teach them this brilliant soul lesson or something. Like, I think there does have to be limits on it because while signs can happen from anything, they shouldn't be happening all the time, like every minute of the day, because then it's not a sign.
Yeah,
Then it's not
of
sticking out as
course.
something.
Because you need time to digest the lesson that you're apparently being taught. So you can't just, it's a bit intense to be thinking everybody who you meet is going to do something for you. Bloody hell. No, no.
I mean, very tiny and like an overarching philosophical, spiritual way. Yes, you can learn something from everybody, but not every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to have this big karmic connection or whatever people cook up in their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I am that annoying witch though that goes, "Oh, look, 11, 11." But that's the only number I do it with because that number does haunt me, and it's haunted me for over a decade. So, but that's
Well,
the only
hopefully it's
one.
a happy haunting.
Don't mind any haunting's good. Jokes, jokes. Oh my god. I mean, what would you say makes a good tarot deck in terms of design and like symbolism and stuff?
So the one that I read with the most and the one that I teach with is the Rider Waite Smith. Like it's obviously number one for a reason.
Hmm.
The images are very easily understood and accessible to anyone. Like the color symbolism in it, also implementing astrology symbolism and things like that as well. I think is really helpful. I totally hate cards that are like such a specific theme and also seem to be like an antithesis to not that it should be, but say for example, like the science tarot, right? They have like an opportunity to do something really cool with that, but to me it's just very bland. To me it's just like very mechanical looking and not something that would help my intuition or spirit flow really. Like I don't really like decks that have one strong specific theme. For example, cat tarot.
You're gonna say that.
I don't want that. Like I don't want to look at I love cats, but like in my divination, I don't want every reading and every card to be about cats because that's like a specific thing that could come up. Like in what I mentioned earlier with the Queen of Wands. So I'm not a fan of decks that have a strong theme, especially if it's just for fun. I can appreciate like the fun of it. Like I went to my barber and he was like, "You have to see this tarot deck," and it was Meryl Streep tarot deck, and
Oh
like every
yeah.
card was a new film. So there's like I forget what one Death Becomes Her was, but you know, like every card represents like a new role or a new film for her. I'm just not a fan of that. I really find a lot of beauty in the old antique decks. Like I love the antiquity of tarot, which technically the Rider Waite Smith is now because it's over 100 years old. It's 116 this year. Um, yeah, I like the Thoth deck, really popular, really beautiful as well. Very strong esoteric deck. I am a big fan of tarot in general. I just don't like it when they hone in on one specific themes and make it overkill because I think in tarot and other systems of divination, there has to be variation. You know what I mean? There has to be this exploring different ideas, energies, archetypes, symbols. And if it is just like a recurring theme that's so strong that it creates the whole a monotone in the reading, like I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I get that. Novelty decks.
Novelty is a good word. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Stay away from novelty, I guess.
novelty.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're fun, but not something I would ever engage with, really.
Yeah, there's just so many now, isn't there? It's like if you can dream up anything, shove
Mhm.
it in a day. It could be all sorts.
That's the thing. There are thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions now of variations of tarot art and tarot decks. And you can literally find everything. Like there's probably an egg tarot. Do you know what I mean? There's probably a tarot where every card is just like eggs. There probably is. Like I would have to look that up now. If not, there will be in the next 6 months,
There
trust
will be.
me.
There's definitely a duck one. I found a duck one when I was researching like duck mythology. Duck
All
tag.
right.
I was like, I can't. It's fun, but would I use it? Probably not.
Yeah, no, that's cute though.
Little duckies.
Little
It's just
duckies.
balmy. But the Thoth deck, I mean that is a complete other system in it, and I have tried a few times, and it's just too complicated for me. Really, I'm not there yet.
People make it more complicated than it needs to be. If you're a traditional Thoth reader, like if you're like a Theleme or whatever, or you're just really into Crowley, people study it in such a academic way, which is a big thing in terms of occultism. Like they study it like in an academic sense. But actually, the Thoth deck reads really well intuitively because of the colors and because of the flowy nature of every card, and even because of like the key words like strife, like immediately like you're kind of hit with this idea or this feeling from the cards. I think it works really. I can do a little bit of both because I'm an astrologer, so like I understand kind of the structure of the cards a lot of the time. I do think that he renamed some of the cards as well. Like you've got Prince and Princess. Like I think that's a great kind of addition to it. But yeah, I don't think you need to become this big studious like occultist just to understand the Thoth deck. I remember I used to work with a psychic and she read with the Thoth deck and she didn't have any occult interest. She was actually a psychic medium and like it would just come through so naturally to her. Because the cards have this like very whimsical spiritual look about them. Like you can really get sucked in. And the copy that I have, it's like very large. It's larger than your average tarot deck. And so you
Yeah.
totally sink into the imagery. Frida Harris, the artist, obviously very talented, especially for her time. Yeah, they're like this gothic masterpiece.
Yeah, they are beautiful. I think I did get scared off because of all the academicness around them. And
Yeah.
I'm just not an academic person.
And you don't have to be. You can use the Thoth deck as much or as little as you would like, with or without prior knowledge. Like I'm a big believer that both can help. Like I do think studying divination helps a little bit, but I think going about it your own way is the main thing. Like intuition just has to be followed.
I want to go play with some tarot now. Do you use the Thoth deck with other decks, or I guess when you have a reading,
No,
do you have a set that you use?
I mean, yeah, like usually I go between the Rider Waite Smith Tarot and like an antique deck of Lenormand cards that I have because I love Lenormand. I use them just as much as I use Tarot. I used them more today. Like I was doing email readings and like most of them were Lenormand and I think one of them was Tarot. But yeah, I tend to stick to the same two decks. Like I have a collection of other decks, but it's more for the exploration. rather than using them all religiously. I have to get a charger, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were going to show us all your decks. Mastering it at the moment.
Yeah, didn't expect the whole battery to drain in the course of an hour, but like it very well nearly did. So,
Good save.
why is it not on?
Is it working?
Yes.
Phew.
Sorry.
For you. No, it's cool. Have you got quite a lot of decks then? Are you a collector?
Yeah, I've got like a good variation. Like I've got a fair few tarot decks, oracle decks, Lenormand, of course, aunties, fortune telling cards, which are right here. Like I'll show for the people that can see, because they're right next to me, like the Egyptian style backs, really pretty.
Nice.
I always get taken aback by the smell of these cards because they are just so old.
Oh yeah.
They're absolutely gorgeous. My favorite deck whatsoever. They come in like this antique playing card. There's your wooden box for the superstition you mentioned earlier. So maybe that was still true back then. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've got a collection, but I tend to stick and use the same decks all the time because they're the decks that work best for me. However, I would switch it up every now and then because again, I don't think you should get stuck on one tool. And I think that tends not to be a problem for me because I do practice astrology and palm readings and dip into other forms of divination occasionally as well. But because I've got a mix of stuff going on all the time, I don't think that becomes a problem for me anyway. A lot of people like have big collections of tarot, like hundreds of cards and all that. And like, I just think, what for? If you're not going to use them.
I have a decent amount, but I did stop buying them because it was like, there's no point, I just kind of get them out, look at them, put them away, get them out, look at them, put them away. I need to just behave with it. That's why I started buying.
They're pretty.
Yeah, that's why I started buying and selling tarot in lockdown because I was just aware how much I owned, and it's enough just to look at them and own them for a little bit. Were enough, and then I could pass them on, and I got quite good at buying and selling.
Experience them, yeah.
Just want to hold them in my hand, and then I'll let them go.
Oh. I try to keep unusual decks. Like sometimes I've just happened across them. Like one of my friends who's a professional tarot reader she gave me like it was actually like a Thoth style deck, but it was a German deck and I forget what it was called now. And it's just something I never saw before. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So she was like, have it. You know what I mean? Like I'll take something if I think it's weird or unusual enough or collectible to like just have there. But in terms of using decks, like I only use a couple decks regularly.
Yeah. Have you got any advice for people wanting to connect with the tarot?
Try not to look at the book all the time.
That's good advice.
I mean, I have an online guide, like an ebook. It's called Tarot Divination, and I wrote it because there are so many tarot books out there, but they all tend to just be saying the same thing. And like, I thought I had a good, different perspective on it because I read spreads and, I bring in understanding from other forms of divination. And I also focus on the literal thing, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like death can be death. It's not always transformation or Scorpio or what are these fucking dumb like modern meanings? Like, no, it can be bereavement, right? And you should probably know about this ahead of time. Like, in case you can tell from the name of the card, death is death sometimes. Like, I tried to write from more like from that perspective as well. But I think the most you will ever learn about tarot or any kind of reading, any kind of divination is through practice. Like it is just through doing it, and not just for yourself, but for other people. I always use the same analogy or example. Like it's like playing piano. You can read a lot about it, but unless you're sitting at the keys, like you're not going to get better at it. You're not going to learn or grow more. So practice makes perfect with that. And again, bringing in other systems of divination really important to help your understanding.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't become a chef and just learn how to make pizza and stop there. You know what I mean? Like that's not the be all. It's great. I love pizza, but it's not the be all end all of cuisine.
Yeah, I think, like you say, a lot of people get scared to do it because they're scared of saying the wrong thing or reading them wrong.
Then you shouldn't be scared of saying the wrong thing because, first of all, what's the worst that could happen, right? What's the absolute worst that could happen? And then what's the likelihood of that happening as well? But even if you get something wrong, like that's teaching you something.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you could say something and then the client's, oh, it's not quite like that. It's actually like this. And there's probably a connection there. But then you'll remember that for next time. It will expand your knowledge of not just the cards, but also the human experience. Because you can study tarot cards as much as you want, but if you're not studying people at the same time, like how are you going to read for them? If you don't know how to communicate with people, if you don't know how to finesse difficult predictions, if you don't know how to come at it from a point of making your client feel empowered whilst at the same time still giving them an accurate prediction that isn't mollycoddling them. Like that's the only way to do it is by the practice. So you shouldn't shy away from it. You should embrace the fear because actually, if you feel nervous or scared, it's probably because you want to do a good job. You know what I mean? Frauds don't get imposter syndrome. They're either delusional or they just don't care. But like you obviously do care. So like you're already starting from a good place as long as you carry that with you.
Yeah, so true. Talking direct to me there, Kalem. One day. Anyway, is it?
You should keep the family tradition up. What kind of cards did your mum read?
She had Rider Waite Smith, and the one called Mythic. Do you know Mythic?
I used to have that, yeah, the Greek one.
Yeah.
Stunning. And I gave it to someone. I gave it to a Taurus that I thought would appreciate it. And such gorgeous cards. They were 80s.
Yeah.
Still kind of Rider Waite Smith, but just Greek myths, Greek tales, symbolism throughout them, and absolutely gorgeous cards. And then they did the new Mythic, which was kind of like a computerized version, and it's awful. But yeah, it's technically like a vintage or out of print deck now, and it's
got it. Yeah, no,
stunning.
I've got it. I've still it were an absolute all-time deck. She used it for everything, and also Cosmic Tarot as well. Don't know if you know that one.
Yeah, I used to work in a witch shop where we sold that one, and that was another kind of like inspired by the 80s, I think. Like if you kind of look at it, it looks like an 80s sci-fi fantasy movie, which is not a deck that I would typically like, but I actually did enjoy the look of that one. Never used it.
Yeah, they're free. And I've still got them, and I'd never ever sell them or get rid of them. And they're probably worth quite a lot of money now because they are from like 83 before I was born.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I love them so much. But I don't use them. And I should. Don't know why.
You can get back into it when you need it.
Yeah, no, totally. There is a pedestal thing as well. My mum, she was so good at it. Like, and that's how she made friends. She used to just go around on bus stop and be like, "Can I talk to you? There's somebody in my ear." She'd go, "There's somebody in my ear," and they'd be like, "You what?" And it'd spirit telling her stuff, and then she'd use the tarot deck to connect with spirit. For a long time, I thought that's just how people read cards, but it obviously isn't. But back then, because that's all I knew. But yeah. It's interesting.
There's as many different kinds of tarot cards now out there as there are people. Mm-hmm. So again, like it has to be a personal thing. Like we can give advice and sort of say how it is from our perspective, but it is your own personal journey, the fool's journey, as tarot readers would call it.
Yeah. Journey. Yeah. Well, we've done nearly an hour, Kalem. It's been brilliant. Do you want to give yourself a plug?
Yeah, everyone can Google me because I'm everywhere. There's not a lot of Kalem Turners, Kalem. My website's kalemturner.com. People can book in for readings there. I'm in Edinburgh, obviously, but I do email readings as well. Just started doing TikTok. I was telling you earlier, like I'm using TikTok as therapy to just vent about all the crazy experiences I've had working in the fortune telling industry.
But it's well good.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well, just Kalem Turner. And people can email me. KalemTurner@outlook.com because that's how I communicate with the world.
And you've got a fabulous newsletter, haven't you?
I do. I've got a free newsletter. I've not had time for it lately. Like I think I've done one in the last month, which is terrible. Like I used to do them once, twice, 3 times a week. Because I like to do mini lessons, whether it's about tarot or astrology or palmistry, other kinds of divination. Just don't have a lot of time for it right now. I am still selling my tarot ebook and my palmistry course on my website. I hope to have more time for it soon, but as I said, like I'm moving office soon. I've got other things in the pipelines, media-wise, which I can't say much about, but I'm hoping that works. Yeah, so find me online everywhere, nearly. I've even got social media I don't know. Does anyone know what Threads is? Because I don't know what that is, but apparently if you have Instagram, you have Threads. You know what I mean? Like, I'm probably out there everywhere.
I have no idea what that is either, mate. You know, I have no idea. But it's going to give me a Bell Witch exclusive then.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Well, thank you very much for wanting to come back on as well. It's always such a nice thing to hear when guests loved it so much they want to come back.
It's a good fun chat, yes.
Thank you so much for choosing the Bell Witch podcast to fill your magical ears. Kalem was a fabulous guest, and it's so lovely to know that guests like the pod and the experience so much that they come back on. That's it from me. Stay magical, witches.